Olivia.
We're the two Pilates Chicks, and it is season 7, episode 1.
First episode of the year.
Woo! 2026.
Yep.
It feels good to be back. It feels like it's been a moment.
I know.
So we do have a visitor with us, just in case he decides to wake up. Mr. Bates.
Or if you hear him snoring, we are not snoring. That is our studio dog.
Mr. Bates. He's sound asleep right now, so if you hear barking or snoring, which could happen any minute, that's not us. But this episode came to us from a listener.
Yeah.
Who DM'd us on Instagram.
Yeah, she was talking about the mass teacher training programs that she was noticing popping up all over the place. Lots of Pilates studios everywhere, which probably all of you are noticing, different types of Pilates and reformer fitness stuff. And a lot of these studios have teacher training programs. So her question was about...
She actually said, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was just essentially, what are your thoughts on this? So, and we got that question towards the end of last year and decided that that would make a good intro episode for the year.
Yeah, it just made sense to us. So we kind of broke it down a bit, and we will probably get on our soapbox a little bit. But we kind of wanted to start with the history kind of so-called teacher training.
Yeah.
Because it's not, when we went through it, isn't really what it is now.
Quite different.
Quite different. It was more mentorship, more apprentice. And if you go really far, it was like you were taught by the teacher in the studio, and when they thought you were ready, then you could see clients or help out. And then kind of went down that path. And there was no certification. There was no kind of industry standards.
Yeah. There's definitely not a be-all certification like we have now from what was the PMA and now NPCP. But we didn't even really have a certificate of completion of our programs.
And we didn't have manuals.
Yes, there were no manuals.
No manuals.
And there also weren't these big name, known brand studios like we have today, such as like Stott, Bozzy, Bounce Body, those sorts of things.
No, not around.
Yeah. So what we had was like the local studio, or like for me, I worked with Diane who, with my ballet stuff and in college, and she invited me to come to her teacher training program. And so it was this small local studio. I knew her, so I got into that program. And then similarly for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing Pilates, and then my teacher said, you should teach Pilates. And I was like, oh, God, I can't teach this. It's so complicated. So I had two choices. It was the one studio that she went to, her mentor, or to go to New York and study with Ramona. And I was young and poor and couldn't afford to do that.
Let's go local.
So I met, like you did, I went into the studio and I met with her mentor who became my mentor, and we chatted, and I guess it was technically like an interview kind of thing. And, and then I really liked him, and I liked his studio, and he was very just, you're like, okay, this is a good fit.
Yeah.
So it's better than traveling to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's kind of how it was. It was like you had a couple options, and it was either like a local connection.
Or where you had to go.
Or, the one other place that was known, like, on the coasts, like, farther out.
Yeah, or you could go to the West Coast, or, But, yeah. So, totally different.
Yeah. So, these days, we have studios on every corner. We have teacher training programs up the wazoo.
And that was the other thing we're talking about, because once the certification kind of came into play, then that changed teacher training programs.
Yeah.
But now we feel like there's this whole, as one teacher told me, Wild West out there.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. But the certification process was necessary and is necessary.
Is necessary.
Where it standardized things more so versus just at the early stages of just, you're like local teacher and you get the okay from them. But of course now as things have developed and gotten bigger, like you need some set standards, protocols, and things that are more standardized across the industry.
And with the certification also came that standards for teacher training programs.
Yeah.
So that so that it wouldn't be just anyone opening up, and that there were these standards that actually protected the student in terms of what they were learning and for a fully comprehensive.
Yeah, and so you had both, like, so the certification for the student learning, getting their certificate to say I did a teacher training program, but then also the programs having
Their own
the
standards.
approval program to have standards they had to fit to be able to be a program.
Yeah, and that's that the MPCP, before they were at the MPCP, they were at the PMA. They came up with the Pilates School Approval Program.
Yeah.
And so I was on that committee, and then we did all these standards, and that's what, then if you wanted to be an approved school, you had to meet these standards.
Yeah.
And if you didn't meet those standards, and it was like, all this paperwork you fill out and proof of this and proof of that, and
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it showed the students, this school is legit. This school is giving you this school. I think those are important to get back to as well.
Yeah. And there was, definitely those standards are super important. And we'll talk later about like things to look for when you're looking for your own teacher training program. But that is something to look at, of like what standards the school is following. But because those aren't very enforced, and because, as this person who asked us this question is noting, there's so many different types of studio and program that's available now. And so these standards are definitely not
being met.
Or
even on the conversation.
Yeah.
In the conversation, not on in the conversation.
Well, I mean, I don't think most of these studios and programs are even aware of standards they should be meeting, because a lot of people maybe are opening studios when they themselves are not a very experienced teacher.
Yeah, we kind of seen that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've seen people that go through teacher training, open up a studio, and then start a teacher training program.
Right. Whereas what it used to be and what the standards protected were, you had to have been a teacher, let's say, I don't know.
Like for clients. You had to teach clients for, it was a long time. It was like 10, 15 years, whatever. And then you had to be a teacher of teachers, like doing workshops and things.
Apprenticing.
Whatever that was, for another set amount of years.
5 or 6 additional.
Yeah, additional years. So it wasn't like you could just immediately become a teacher training.
So anyone, how it was in those standards, anyone who was opening a studio, who was creating a teacher training program, the prerequisite for them to create a program that was acceptable, they themselves had to have already had at least 15 years experience teaching and working with teachers within that. And so these days we are seeing people opening studios who they themselves never even worked at a studio or different types of environments.
Or maybe they're not even a Pilates teacher.
Yeah.
That happens too.
Yeah, just as a business owner.
Just a business owner.
And maybe they did like a mat program and then opened a Pilates studio, or, something like that. And so they don't have that comprehensive knowledge. They don't have the long-term knowledge. And so those people really should not be teaching teaching people to become teachers, because it's really not appropriate.
Well, and also we chatted earlier before we jumped on, is that teaching someone to be a teacher is very different than teaching a client.
Very, very different.
It's very different. And it's like a whole different, it's like with the students going through a teacher training program, like they're the client, right, learning the choreography, but then they have to learn how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So it's like these two paths you're going down within this one journey.
It's very different. I mean, and similarly, if you're going into a program of any sort, let's say you're in college and you have a professor, you want to know that professor is educated and very extensively knowledgeable about the subject they're teaching you.
Yes.
Why do you want to go take a class from somebody who, just got out of undergrad? Or, in that scenario.
Or they're still in undergrad or whatever.
So, I mean, I think it's similar. It's not very different from that in a teacher training program. And so if you're in a program with a program director and studio owner who don't have extensive experience, that's just not a good program.
No. And then you also have to think about a lot of these studios, like you're talking about, that maybe they don't have that experience, whatever, in small studios, they're creating kind of this chaos, or I hate chaos is a really strong word. Confusion to those who want to be teachers.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the difference between what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And some don't. They think, oh, I just want to teach reformer, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It might be like that watered down version, or not. Like you said, they don't really know, or it's their made up, or their style, or whatever it is.
And these days, because there's so many studios, a lot of people might really think like, oh, I really like Pilates, so I want to start teaching, and their own experience is only in group classes. And maybe
at a studio that has teacher training, they're like, oh, well, I'll do that one. But they didn't really do any research or look outside of that studio.
Yeah, which is fine as a starting point for people if that's what works to get them into it. But we find those people end up getting lost within their career and then end up needing to do supplemental education, and then
or they're spending a lot of money to be at a studio where they're only learning that way of teaching. What if they move?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like, if you're doing a teacher training program at a studio where it's advertising that it's teaching Pilates, but it's really only so-and-so's method. So you're at like so-and-so's studio and they're like, oh, this is Pilates, and you're learning like mat and reformer, but it's not Pilates, it's this person's method using Pilates exercise. Yeah. So then you end with
the choreography is stuff that they have created.
Yeah, it's like
for their classes and their flow or whatever.
So then you're ending up with finishing a program that you've spent hundreds of hours on, thousands of dollars, to know how to teach group classes at that studio, not necessarily how to teach Pilates and with the understanding of movement. And so, again, that's fine, but people need to understand that.
Yes. And it's like the same thing with, even if you're going through fully comprehensive and you want to teach classes. So if you've been trained to teach classes at that type of studio, which there's stuff there, and you go to another studio that has privates and they're doing classes, they're not going to hire you because you're teaching a certain, I'd say, different, unique, like different
exercise style,
where they're teaching Pilates in their group classes.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, it's partly the conversation of like, you have classical, contemporary, traditional, and modern Pilates, but even more than that, it's like a comprehensive teacher training program. Like, you just need to understand what it is you are learning. And most of these programs, especially with these people who have open programs that don't have the experience, they themselves don't have the understanding to know actually what they're teaching people. And so the knowledge gets very limited.
And it's basically just probably choreography.
Yeah, it's just the choreography to do like exercise Pilates classes, which again is fine, and there's clients for that and customers for that, and it's fun. But as the student putting investment into a program with their time, energy, and money, it's not fair that people are getting very confused in the industry and that these standards are not being met by these programs.
Because it's not the student's fault that's going in. Because they don't know. Unless we talk about, like, we'll talk about, like, they do their research, they do their homework.
But similarly, like, the studio owner, let's just say like the studio owner who doesn't have experience, who's like, I'm going into a teacher training program myself because I want to open a studio, is the same as like a graduate student going into an MBA program because they want to be a CEO. There's no depth there. There's no experience. There's no knowledge. And so if you're going from that to then try to be the person that's running one of these programs, you're doing a disservice to the students who are wanting to be teachers, no matter what type of teacher they want to be. If they want to go do group classes, if they want to do reformer fitness, if they want to do classical Pilates, whatever. But these programs need to be honest about what they are teaching, and they should have the education to teach their students, we're teaching you reformer fitness
for
in this way.
Yeah, for
for these group studios in this studio. These are the other types of Pilates, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
I think it would be really good for people to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I think it's important also, like when you're talking about that student that's like going into teacher training program to be a teacher so that they can just run out and open up their own studio.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how that is setting this whole trajectory for that teacher coming out of it where they don't really get to understand Pilates, where they don't really live in it or teach or, your experience with clients and your experience in different places will kind of adjust who you are as a teacher as well.
Definitely.
Which that experience will then transfer when if you do open up your own space
Later
or whatever.
on,
yeah. But it's the same thing with teacher training. You're kind of going to that person who's had experience with clients, different environments, different ways of thinking so that they can pass that on to you.
And you definitely want to be in a program where the studio director, program director, lead teachers have extensive experience and varied experience and are well educated in whatever avenue they are teaching. And so it's really important for the individuals to do their research, your homework to find the right program for you, because it's the same as finding the right college, right? You want to be somewhere where it's the right environment, the right fit, you feel comfortable, the program is teaching what you're wanting to learn.
It's kind of like the big college or the small college or the public or the private. Like there's all these different West Coast, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's like you've got to figure out that's why it's so important to go, like you were saying, take a private, go into the studio, meet the person you're going to be taught by. Yeah. Meet the staff if they have a staff.
Yeah. Feel the style of that program, feel a private with the lead teachers or program director, so you feel what they're going to be teaching you and you see if that works for you, how you feel there. Because you're, again, spending hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars. You're going to be in there observing, doing your own practice teaching, eventually learning the exercises. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And so, what we're seeing is, these host studios that we're seeing a lot of. Where
so there's a host studio. So it's like something you need to know, right? Is this a host studio or is this like
a boutique studio?
A boutique, like my home.
Like we're saying, if you're going to go take a class with the program director at that studio, if it's a host studio, are you getting the feel for the program or are you just taking a private with
whoever,
some teacher there?
Because isn't it true, with the host studios, when we were kind of talking, you could be at one host studio for one thing, but then you have to go to another one for another part.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's if you want to stay at one studio for a comprehensive program and really dig in and be in that community and you like the feel of that studio with that group, that only works if you're going to a comprehensive program at a boutique studio that has, what we have, the mentor apprentice style small group kind of learning.
Yep.
If you're going for a big name thing, which again is fine, but like the Bozzy and Stott and Balanced Body things.
It might be modules, it might be levels.
They have different modules.
Maybe different studios.
Yeah. So there's host studios, and let's say in particular Balanced Body I know has host studios where all over the place and online, where those studios are the host for Reformer Module 1, mat, and with props, 3, whatever it is.
Course is.
And so you'll be going there for one course. You might be going somewhere else for a different course. A different one might be online. Maybe there's a few at one studio, but you maybe can't take them.
The timing doesn't work.
Yeah, sequentially or something. So that's something else to look at. What does
that work for you, or does that do you want to just
get through it
and have a community, a home studio, home base?
Yeah, and so it's a very different feel to each of those programs. And again, it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, and that's just it. Neither one is right or wrong, but it's like colleges. They're very different paths and very different environments that you got to kind of figure out what's the best learning place for me.
Yeah, and it's a lot to navigate because, I mean, once you figure out the, like, just what we're talking about, like the studios around just doing like the group fitness, even though they say you're learning mat and reformer, but you're only learning this person's version for their group classes. Once you figure that out versus the like
fully comprehensive
classical and traditional programs, but then you have to figure out within the comprehensive programs
what is it? I want contemporary, classical, traditional. What is it I want?
And then do I want to do modules or do I want to learn the system as a whole in the traditional status?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's very confusing.
It's a lot. And so...
but we didn't have to deal with that. I mean, that's what's like, this is like, we just had one choice.
You had
to learn everything.
One or two.
System.
Yeah. There was one or two studios. You learned the system. You learned... It was at that time either like the classical or the contemporary at the time, which is the old school contemporary with Eve Gentry and all the, you know, that we've talked about before. But there's a lot now. And so all of these different ideas, it's like you also have to look at hidden costs.
Yeah. Do they require you to do additional privates throughout the whole time? And what is that? And who's the privates with?
Yeah.
Because if it's a host studio or who are you doing them with?
But the overall cost of a program, like when we're talking about the host studios with the different modules, it might look cheaper on paper, but then when you add it all up, you have to do all the different modules, plus each module has maybe an assessment fee or a manual fee or a streaming fee, even if it's not online, so you can get the recording or the library. And then each module is $600-$700, and then how many modules do they require?
Yeah.
And then why is it modules like instead of the comprehensive system if they're advertising it as comprehensive? And then and then do you have to do privates with the person, or is it just recommended or available? But if you have to do like 10 privates,
that adds in a lot.
That's an extra $2,000, and at least. And so,
and also, do they charge you to test out? Do they charge you for the manual? Do they charge you extra for
practice hours
in the studio
use? Yeah. So those are all things that are just kind of the stuff that you might not know to look at, and things that maybe program leaders don't even know, because the ones that are just jumping in to open their own programs don't even know about all that because they haven't had that experience.
Hadn't had the experience. Yeah.
So there's some issues there.
But it really is, I think, because with teacher training, it can be so confusing. And I think if you just really like slow it down and think, yes, you're at this studio, like you were saying, you're at this studio and you're taking classes and blah, blah, blah. But then it gets confusing, because then when you do go, or that student goes into like a fully comprehensive, it's like, wait, this isn't the Pilates I've been doing or I've learned. So that can be confusing as well. So it's kind of like really doing your homework and understanding, like you said.
Just all the different details about it. But I think, like, overall, for somebody trying to decide where to go, like, what are you wanting long term?
Yeah, and some things to, like, really figure out for yourself and not what other people. But recommendations are always a good.
Yeah.
Like
from people who have been through it.
Or a teacher that you're really enjoying and liking, and they speak to you in a way you're like, oh, I really like how they think, and blah, blah. And you can say, oh, where did you go to teacher training? And, realize that you want someone that has, like, significant amount of hours behind their training. Yeah.
I mean, and so, and that idea, like, we asked a couple of our students in our teacher training program what made them pick.
Yeah. Why did they come here?
Like, what was it they were looking for? And so,
and it's funny because they all kind of really, it was the same. It was kind of the same thought process.
Stuff, like they wanted some more deeper, in-depth learning. They were looking for a certain length of program where it was actually longer, because a lot of programs are advertising short, quick things to get people through. So for us, it's like at least a year. It's like going to be a year and a half, 18 months. And so these students were looking for a longer program where they could dive in deeper, learn more, that
Not
is
just
comprehensive.
choreography.
Yeah. Learning more about like the arts of Pilates and the movement science of just movement theory. And then
They liked
similarly,
small groups.
Small
We do
groups.
small groups. That's something to think about. You know,
Yeah.
do you want to be in a large class or do you want a small group? That's very important.
it makes a huge difference about how you're learning and what you can learn. And
And ours is we have a very we're going to use the word flexible. Flexibility of structure of our program, meaning, you know, it's not like this
not
day.
set,
Not
super set.
We
So work with
needs.
needs.
Yeah, so we've had students in college and working. So that has always been something that is attractive. It's like, is that program flexible enough for your life, or do you need that structured?
Right.
More,
Some people
you
like
know?
the programs that are like, these are the dates, they're
Boom,
set,
boom, boom.
da, 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 and that's what you know.
And you can't,
So-
if you miss, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are other things to think about too. But, and then of course, like location and distance and stuff, from where you are.
Yeah.
But, in general, I think though, the whole idea, like what started this episode, where it's like, what do we think of all these programs? I mean,
Because that was the initial question, and I was like, I didn't want to DM that answer, like,
Yeah.
but it is for us as longtime teachers, I feel, and for educators, it's a little scary.
yeah, it's,
I mean, that's just it's like a little
is.
scary that these teachers are going through these programs that I feel won't keep the client safe,
yeah.
that they're not learning, you know, a lot of things to keep clients safe too, to know that this is unsafe, or
Yeah.
why am I doing this with this class or this client,
Or like,
much less anything else.
yeah, I mean, and that's basically just the main issue is the safety aspect of it, but also just kind of almost like invalidating the people who do have expertise.
Yeah,
you know?
and because it's like, why, you know, well, you hear it all the time. It's like, oh, it's so this, it's so that. It's like, well, we basically went to college.
Yeah,
We went to college.
Pilates college.
Pilates college. And so I also feel like when you go into that, then you have clients that like students that go somewhere and think this is Pilates.
Yeah.
And they get hurt.
yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
You're like, well,
Pilates has this, you know, I got hurt, this didn't work out, and it's
Yeah.
Pilates.
well, and like for me, like I did a whole dance career, an undergrad in movement arts, a grad program in movement science and kinesiology, rehab, Pilates, you know, for 15 years. And it feels very invalidating to be like, oh yeah, this person did a 2-weekend certificate.
Yeah, and now they're out there teaching.
And then people think we're the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like we went on this journey and we learned, like I've studied with different people, worked in the PT like you, and years and years and years and years of continue. We still continue to learn every
Still
year.
learning.
Still, like, it's like you never know. I mean, last summer we both went to New York? Or was that this summer? Yeah, both different times, but to learn. And
To
it's
do
like,
different workshops
to do
and-
different, you know, with ours. But so, yeah, and then you get people, it's like, oh, they went through a quick teacher training out there teaching, and then they stopped, too. It's like,
They stop learning, and then they're like, okay, well, I did a quick teacher training program myself, and now I'm going to go create a teacher training program and
Yeah.
teach other people. And it is scary.
yeah. And it's like, you know, it happens, but if you think about what we just talked about, and if you have this like home base, if you have this community that you can continue to learn,
Keep going back
to keep going back to the continuing education. I mean, it kind of comes into, why did you go into teacher training? Why do you want to be a teacher? What's your goal? And if it's just to open a studio, that's a different.
Yeah.
It's like most Pilates teachers that we know got into it because they want to help people.
Yeah.
They had an experience for themselves.
Where Pilates helped them.
And so there's this passion of, it's not really a job.
Yeah.
It's kind of this passion
It's a career.
It's a career.
It's not, just the basic. I mean, if you're interested in just opening a studio and a program, probably go into like business instead of movement healing arts. Go into business, open a shop or something.
Yeah.
But because what we do is beyond just the group fitness or studio to crunch numbers and get clients through, like we are boutique, individualized, one-on-one, specialized with
and getting people
expertise.
To move in a safe, but it's kind of like it almost like kind of what you were saying. It's like kind of that invalidation, but it almost feels like these this is gonna be totally bizarre, but it's almost like, are we the dinosaurs? Like, the way we learn, but it's not. The old ways. But I mean, for this industry and like the NPCP and how we feel about certification and how we feel about the knowledge of the teachers and the hours to learn and study and practice, it's like I just think that has to continue. Yeah. And right now it's getting very watered down and muddled. Yeah. And if it keeps that path, then we lose the real kind of, what Pilates can do for people. Yeah. The full system. And the system.
Comprehensive. Yeah.
Then, all of these people that we help every day. Yeah. It's like done. Yeah.
It's interesting.
And we've both seen, and I know we're rambling on a bit, we've both seen the industry change with different trends and fads and this and that. But right now they're all talking about, Pilates is hot and it's the it thing and this and that. And we're just like, oh my God.
It's not a fad.
It's not a fad.
Yeah. What we do
so
is
it won't
not
go
a
away.
Fad. Yeah.
But on the other hand, it'll change. So hopefully, doing your research, doing your homework, realizing why you want and what you want out of a teacher training program. Yeah. Then we'll keep the industry going on a good path.
Yeah. And we need those school approval program standards to be known and utilized by teacher training programs.
Yes, because it is important to, have those standards of, what is expected of the students. Yeah. And what is expected of the program.
Yeah. And keep it up and up.
Yeah, keep it up and up. Keep it transparent.
Yes.
Yes. So that's kind of how we feel about it.
Yeah.
I guess. But, we have, our teacher training program, and it's like we're going into the 21st year.
Yeah.
Yeah. 21st year. So, our classes start winter in February, but it's the same thing. When people come into our program, there are questions on our application and there are questions we ask in the interview, and we make sure, that this is a good fit.
Yeah. Very specifically, like, why do you want to do a teacher training program?
What are your expectations?
Yeah.
And here's what we expect.
And what's your experience with Pilates? And
Yeah, because that, if you have someone, like you said, that just came from reformer fitness and they think that's what they're going to learn, it's like,
this is not the right place for you.
No. But it's important. So, I think that's a good way to start off the new year.
Yeah.
Just, do your research. That's all we got. And Mr. Bates slept through the whole episode.
I know, he didn't even bark.
No snoring, no dreams.
I'm surprised.
I know, I'm surprised too. Okay, but you can check out our teacher training info, our continuing education on our website, PilatesChicks.com. We're on YouTube, giving some tutorials and chats and teaching moments. Instagram. Anything else? Threads.
Yeah, I don't know what happens with that.
I don't know. I think our Instagram goes on Instagram.
I'm not sure about it. But send us a DM or an email, and we'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Yeah, and if you have questions about, because we're very honest when people come in and we want them to do their research. So if you want to ask us questions about different training programs. Yeah.
We'd love to talk about it.
Yeah, we love to talk about it. But thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.